All right, what is going on, guys? We have got some Thursday night football. We've got the Saints and the Broncos at the Caesar Superdome. All right, this should be an interesting game. Got two teams not going in great directions. You got Denver at 3-3, Saints at 2-4. Saints started off the season absolutely on fire. Looked like they were going to wreck every single team. I don't think they had a punt in the first two games. They have scored less in the last four games than they did in the first two. I think they've scored like 76 in the last four games, 91, something like that. Some ungodly number in the first two games. So, both teams, man, very common theme. We've got injuries. So on the Broncos, we saw Patrick Surtain go out with a concussion last week. Both teams don't have their starting centers. Saints are on their backup to the backup, so they're on their third string center. Taysom Hill's probably going to be out. We saw Chris Olave leave the game with a concussion. Rashid Shaheed left the game with a knee injury last week, so it's a really good chance Saints are going to be without their top two wide receivers. Saints have some issues on their O-line, specifically on the inside. They've got injuries there, right? We already talked about the center. You got guard issues, so there is this is going to be a very interesting game in terms of who Spencer Rattler is going to be utilizing offensively. Right, so you've got two rookie QBs. Derek Carr's out with an oblique injury. We don't know when he's going to be back, probably a couple more weeks. So you got Spencer Rattler for the Broncos. You've got Bo Nix. Right, Bo Nix has his own set of challenges. Actually thought he played pretty decent last week. He had some big plays that got ruined by penalties. Both teams very similar stories last week. The Saints got down 17-0 to the Bucks, and then they actually stormed back, and they were leading 20-17 at one point. Broncos got down 23-0 against the Chargers. They started to kind of mount a comeback as well. This should be a really interesting game. Obviously, both these teams, it's going to be a short week, right? Played on Sunday, turn around, play on Thursday. If we look at recent trends, Saints have lost the last 5 games where they've had to play on short rest. Broncos have lost the last 3. Good news, someone will win this game. I guess technically it could tie. We're going to say someone's going to win. So, who is that going to be? Well, let's dig into it. So in my opinion, right, we look at this Denver defense. They've been doing pretty good. Passing yards a game, they're 5th in the league, only allowing a little over 170. In terms of passing touchdowns, they're really good. Not giving up a lot. They're 5th in the league. Rushing, maybe a weakness for them, right? They're giving up 114 yards a game. They're also allowing a lot of rushing attempts at 28.5. Rushing touchdowns, doing pretty good stopping that. Yards per completion, not so good there. They're at 9.3. Although I guess that's technically not bad. That's like really top 5. Rushing yards per attempt, they're at 4. That's 6th best in the NFL. So, I mean, they really are doing a good job. They're getting a lot of sacks. They're 3rd in the league in terms of sacks. On the flip side, we go to New Orleans. They are allowing everybody and their brother to throw on them, averaging 262.2 yards a game. That is 3rd worst in the league. Giving up a ton of passing attempts at 37. Rushing yards, they're towards the back half of the league. They're giving up 133 rushing yards a game. So kind of combine that defensively, they're just giving up so many yards per game. They're not getting to the quarterback. They're only at a 6.4 sack percentage. Denver's at 10.3, just to kind of show you the flip side. The one thing they are doing well, they're getting a lot of picks. They're 2nd in the NFL in picks with a 4.5% pick percentage. Denver's 13th at 2.6%. But really, like I said, defensively, they're just giving up too many yards all over the place. Now, the question is, can Denver actually take advantage of it? Right? They don't throw down the field a ton. Bo Nix only has, 3 passing completions over 30 yards this season, so they don't take a ton of shots downfield. We did kind of see them start to take that last week, but makes sense, right? You're in a 23-0 hole. You're going to throw the ball a lot. You got to throw the ball downfield. So, how do I see this game turning out? Well, Spencer Rattler he actually looked way better than I thought he would in the first half last week. I thought, he had a very good pocket presence. He didn't choke under the pressure. He threw kind of a bad pick, but other than that, I thought he actually looked surprisingly well. Question is, who the heck is he going to throw the ball to? Now, there was a rookie, Bub Means, last week that had a great week. He had 6 catches last week. I could see, right, you got Foster Moreau, you got Juwan Jennings as your tight end. Moreau is more of a blocking tight end. Juwan Jennings is more of a catching tight end. So we could definitely see some dump downs to him. That is a path to go. I didn't take it, but if you want to look at his receptions, that's an angle. Maybe look at his yards. But to me, this is a clear Denver game, right? You got Sean Payton coming back to New Orleans. Don't know, he coached the Saints for a long time, won a Super Bowl with them. Drew Brees will be on site. They're honoring him at halftime. So I know some people are, have a weird thing about if they're doing presentations and honorings, you go with that team, you go with the home team. I can't trust this Saints team. So what am I playing today? Let's get into the down and dirty of it. So props I like today. Devon Vele over 30.5 receiving yards. I think this is really low. I think this should probably be closer to 35 to 40. I think he has a pretty decent game. So I expect this number to continue to climb up. Javonte Williams over 17.5 receiving yards. Just great value. We'll talk a little bit more about his receptions. Receptions lines 2.5 at minus 170 to 175, depending on which book. But I do like him to have more than 17.5 receiving yards. If you watched the game last week, the Saints could not stop anybody. They couldn't tackle. They had 16 missed tackles. We were on the Chase McLaughlin field goals for Tampa Bay. It was an obvious running situation. Deep into the fourth quarter, Bucs were trying to burn clock at their own 30. They ended up rushing the ball all the way into the end zone, just missed tackles the whole way. So Javonte's a big guy. You give him the ball in space, I think he can make some guys miss. If he can't, he can just plow through them. So I like that over 17.5 receiving yards. Spencer Rattler over 20.5 rush yards. Like I said, I felt like he did pretty good in the pocket. I fully expect Denver to bring the blitz, right? They're not third in the league in sacks for a reason. They are going to bring pressure. Pressure means he's going to have to scramble out of the pocket. He's going to have to run. So really like the over 20.5 rush yards. Alvin Kamara over or anytime touchdown. So I think that's the only offensive weapon they have, and I do think they score. So give me Kamara score a touchdown. Give me Broncos -3 for -102. Just too good a value, man. Nix is starting to find his way. He's getting more comfortable in the offense. If you look at how he operated in Oregon, they ran a ton of plays. They were a very high-tempo offense. We're kind of starting to see the Broncos transition more into what's comfortable to him, which is more of an uptick offense. So I think they should be able to do that, right? Saints have had very little time to repair. They have had a ton of injuries. Everything kind of works in Denver's favor, in my opinion. Parlays I like today. Bo Nix over a half a touchdown. Should be able to get that. And then Javonte Williams over 2.5 receptions at +100. Both QBs to throw for 150 yards, and Denver +3.5. Very juiced, right? A little teaser on Denver. It's a 6.5 point teaser, +122. And then Broncos money line and over 30 game total at +116. So those are my plays for today. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. If you haven't, subscribe to the channel. We're on a beautiful run in the NFL. So with that said, I'll catch you in the next video.